So welcome to this community-based effort session on information during crisis. I'm Michael, MIT Climate Fellow and author of the contest Crowds&Climate for Disaster Risk Management. This contest was recognized as being in line with the President's Climate Data Initiative, which is really great. And I'm also a master candidate at the University of Montreal in the Urban Planning Institute. So thanks for being here today. We're going to start presenting our winning team. We have the Save the Baby team from Japan with us today. So I'm glad to introduce you to Madame Kurada, the founder of the Save the Baby project, and Mr. Ibe and Mr. Ishinabe, project managers. They are also having other team member watching us live from Japan. So Save the Baby is in the process of digitizing all the information that is within the maternal and child health handbook to provide easier access to vital information during and post-disaster. This project, whose mission is to protect the well-being of children and babies, started following the 2011 earthquake in Japan. We are also happy to introduce you to Mr. Poran, who won the Popular Choice Award. We Are Ready project. Oh, they're over there. Sorry. So Mr. Poran is a consulting IT architect with clients in India and the US. He's helping them to build robust and scalable cell phone and web application. His project started at the Code for India hackathon, and he has been refining and improving this project in the course of the MIT Climate Collab contest. We are also very honored to have with us Madame Lalana Kagal. She is the principal research scientist at the MIT CCEL. She is currently exploring various facets of information management and policy, such as the development of new paradigms for exploring and integrating distributed data, privacy-aware acquiring of big data, and mobile application frameworks for disaster management. So how we will proceed, we will present each group's video and presentation, and afterward the expert will give a preview of the feedbacks that they would like to provide the winning teams with afterward in smaller group discussion. So let's start with the Save the Baby project. Thank you.
Introduction of a small handbook and its distribution to all expectant emerging mothers was organized in Japan about 70 years ago. The handbook with important data was washed away by tsunami. There are no records anywhere. Save the baby in a world. The causes of infant deaths, infection, diarrhea, and nutritional deficiency, rather than the disasters themselves in all corners of the world. There are no records. Daily habits become useful in time of disaster. It is balancing the maternal and child health handbook and connecting mothers and children with a view to preventing and mitigating disasters. It's a service to record health data using telephone line to support the communication environment of the developing countries. And the service is useful not only in daily life but also in time of disaster. In daily life. Hello, which vaccine has your baby taken? Place 1 for polio, place 2 for measles. We have recorded today's polio vaccine. In a time of disaster, what is needed most is information. Hello, any symptoms in the baby? Place 1, all diarrhea, Flash to copy. Based on received information, medical personnel could judge the priority area and prepare for exports and supplies. It is a dream, but it's a mission for a common future.
Climate change have increased all over the world. We save the mothers and save the mothers and babies. Hello, I'm speaking as a mother. I want to tell you about one thing that helped me when raising my children. Here is my own handbook for maternal and child health used 25 years ago. Each one contains health records from my pregnancy, advice for raising a child, and memories from my baby's first years. This is a stack of childcare wisdom. In Japan, all mothers have one. I can't imagine how hard without it. Together, we can bring its benefit to mothers around the world. We are digitalizing and facilitating access to the contents of handbook to prevent and mitigate the suffering in disasters. This is a gift to the future. Now, we hope to collaborate with you all to develop a better system. We need system development, people to collaborate, local communities working together, and funds to do so. Imagine what we can do together for a better future. Please come to see the handbook. I'm looking forward to the discussion with you.
Thank you so much, Madam Kurada. I now invite Mr. Paran to present the We Are War project who won the Public Choice Award.
Imagine a very beautiful day and you are taking a stroll or a jog in a hilly terrain, right? Suddenly, on the sides of the door, you see a landslide, okay, onto your walk. You don't know what to do. Or like the first thing that comes to your mind is like that horrific video that was doing rounds on the Facebook wall, where a small landslide immediately turns big and consumes the whole valley, right? And you don't know who to contact. You can't dial 911 and ask, hey, there's something on this spot, or anything on this spot, right? You should know who to talk to. Now, the second thing that you feel is, like the surge of panic, where, because just down the valley is your newly bought house, right? So, things like this are very common in most of the disaster scenarios, right? Fast forward a couple of months down the line, where we are building this app. Can you just switch to the next slide, please? So this is one app that we're building with just 3 slides, 3 screens. The first one is basically a message list from nearest disaster management organization, which sends you messages very specific to your area. And the second screen where you can just pick a disaster that you are seeing and either take a picture. If you can't type in, you can just add your voice and a video and just hit send. Here, the last one is just basically a settings page where you can actually translate the messages to your local language. Now, what happens when you hit that send button? It will be sent to an application, a website, which runs like a Twitter feed, and there will be disaster management organizations who will be having access to this, and they can customize to see the alerts by region that they select. Okay, for example, I can say I only target East Coast or West Coast, or and the disasters that they track, like tsunami or any of these things, right? You can earthquakes, kind of stuff. So based on the alerts that they receive, they will be able to contact the first responders, who will have another screen which will be asking for validation. Hey, I see within a 1 mile radius of your place, there's somebody who's reporting a landslide. Why don't you just check and verify? Because that, if you have to do manually, you might have to send a geologist there to figure out, and you'll be spending a lot of time and money on that. Now, a first responder can actually go and see and validate it. Yes, this is a landslide that I've seen. Maybe it is good if you send a geologist or somebody to look into this. Now, fast forward a couple of days, you'll actually see either a barricade being built, or a retention wall, or the geologist actually training the guys down below who's constructing a new house on how to build a sustainable house in term if a landslide happens in our region, in that area. Sorry. So how this app has transformed over a period of time compared to when it started a couple of months back when we joined the Climate Collab. A lot of people started asking internationalization. Internationalization today is very easy to do. We have built a lot of applications which actually now work on 16 different languages, and adding new languages is very easy. And if you see, this is the screen where they will be able to send a message, right? So only 2 text messages, I mean, like only 2 instructions are supposed to be kind of translated, right? This one, there is a button to actually allow you to translate to your local language. If you don't know how to read, you can just hit on a text-to-speech button, which will actually read out the message to you in a language that you care about, right? So that's the whole app. Now, you can actually use it for, as of now, we can actually build this application for 50 different operating systems with phone gap, and we can do offline access so that you don't have to be connected all the time. And past location history. Consider you just got a new job offer in a city which you just you're really eager to go and find your living, right? And you don't know, a couple of months back there was a sandstorm, there's a severe storm or an earthquake, right? You're not prepared for it. So as soon as you enter that region, because of the geolocation tags that we're going to build in, it will pull at least past 10 months of data. So that will say these are the alerts that you have. So that's what we are doing for the app. And for the demos, they'll be able to send images, audio, video, text through the app. So what happens there is, like, you can actually send a promotional, basically how to survive a disaster, what kind of disasters that they care about, and how to identify a disaster in its very nascent stages. And alerts to indicate a disaster path and routes that you have to take to safety. And alert validation requests for the volunteers that we've talked about. So, and during the time of disaster, they should be able to say, they can set up an area and say, who is there in that region? They will get an SMS alert or an app alert, which will tell you which is the way the disaster is progressing. For example, wildfire. Because wildfires usually go according to the wind direction, right? So you have to move away from it. They will be able to select an area and say, move from here, and they will be able to guide people there. That's what we are planning. And the app promotion we'll be doing through telecom companies, because I talked to a couple of vendors in India, Airtel and Vodafone. They have a corporate social responsibility program where they can actually see this as a SMS, and data that comes in and out of this app is free. They usually do this promotion for Facebook, Twitter, and all those things, where for a couple of days they will give you free of cost. So this they can actually give completely free of charge for the restaurant. And DMOs signing up is one key activity, and we got our interest of World Bank for some reason when we were actually in the project. And through UN and World Bank, we'll be able to reach out to most of the disaster management organizations that we are planning. And MIT always helps. And they will be able to send marketing material or activities around. They can also do a promotion around that. Thanks a lot.
think we can give another big rounds of applause for our both teams.
So the second expert, he has been called to the major's office, but he will be there later.
That's good. So we'll go for the feedbacks preview of Madame Kagal.
Sure. So I just wanted to say both teams were really great, very
Could you
strong.
please stand up so that viewers can see you as well?
Sure. I'm fine. If you can't hear me, let me know. So
It's
I,
for web viewers
Oh,
actually.
okay.
So, thank you so much.
So I just wanted to say that both proposals were very strong, very well explored. The ideas are very useful and very timely. I had a couple of comments and questions, but I think what you've asked me is to give an overview. So I think one of the or my two big concerns with the Safe Baby proposal was this focus on data commons. And I feel like there was no notion of reusing existing data standards. So is the idea to come up with your own standard? And if so, how will it work with existing electronic health records? The other thing, my other concern, the other thing I want to discuss with you was incentivizing mothers. So it's one thing to have a pamphlet with you at all times. You could carry in your purse, keep it at home, and make notes on it. But requiring a mother to call in externally and sending information seems to require slightly more thought on how that's going to be possible. I did notice that in your proposal you talked about different ways to incentivize mothers, including workshops, but I'm unconvinced that workshops is the way to go. So maybe there are some other ways to do it, like having some kind of competition or some kind of monetary benefits, or a free doctor's visit, something like that, to get mothers more involved in this effort. So for the second proposal, we are ready. Again, very strong, very well thought of. A couple of concerns. One thing that we found, so I'm also working in Crises&Climate, one of the things we found is that NGOs or any government, whether it's local, state, federal, they all require customization. So nobody wants an out-of-the-box solution. They want it customized for their region, and which is natural. It's cultural, social, everything changes. So they want it customized for their particular region. And I didn't see that in your business plan. How are you going to handle it? Okay, I didn't notice. So I'd like to talk to you about that. Another thing, given the sensitive nature of the data that you're collecting, you do talk about privacy. You say privacy is important, but I didn't see how you were actually addressing it. Who has access to all this data that's being collected? You're tracking people as they go. They move from their home to the shelter, or they get refugee status or something. But it's unclear how the data is being stored. Is it encrypted? Who has access? How do you get access to the data, and so on. A couple of small things I will talk to you about it. So another big thing is for this to work as an end-to-end system, you need to sell it not just to the NGOs, the organizations involved, in the recovery and the management process, but you also have to sell it to first responders, which are not involved. And what is the incentive for first responders to react to yet another source of information? So again, in India and in other countries, I don't know what the status is, but I know the US is slowly moving to the next generation of 911, which is they are going to accept things like text and pictures. And in that case, how will you compete with that? 911 is it's a national effort, and you are a startup. So having thought about that level. Another thing is, even though this is such a great area, and it seems to be something that is so required, there are other apps in the space. Facebook has come up with this emergency app. I'm sure you've seen that. AT&T has an emergency app which is camouflaged as a calculator, so that if you're taken hostage or something and you want to send out an emergency response, you don't need to do something. I think it's a long click, or you have to swipe some numbers or something, so you can send out an emergency request without alerting your who's got you. So those are big names already pushing these kind of emergency apps, and I was wondering if you had a solution for. Okay, so I had just so that's just the overview of my comments. I have some more detailed comments, and I'd love to talk to both teams about that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So a lot of stuff to discuss about and to build on. So we're gonna go into discussion group.